You are not being tested by women in the way you think. You just do not understand what they are actually doing. Women do not test you with questions, they test you through emotions. And if you react to those emotions, you lose immediately. 99% of men do not realize this. They think it is a misunderstanding. They think it is just a mood. They think they need to explain, need to make her feel better. Wrong. It is a test. And every time you explain, every time you apologize, every time you try to please her, you are placing yourself in a weaker position. If you do not understand these 4 tests, you will always be the one being led, not the one in control. You think you are doing the right thing, but in reality, you are reacting to every test without even realizing it. When she doubts you, you immediately start explaining. You give reasons. You try to prove yourself. You think that is confidence. It is not. It is a need for validation. And the moment you need validation, you have already placed yourself in a lower position. When she becomes cold, silent, distant, you start to worry. You ask repeatedly. You apologize, even when you did nothing wrong. You think you are being caring. You are not. You are losing control. When she makes you feel guilty just because you were busy, responded late, you immediately give in. You drop your own priorities just to make her happy. You think that is kindness. It is not. It is weakness. And when she goes hot and cold, you try to understand. You try to analyze. You try to figure it out. You think you are being perceptive. You are not. You are chasing. And here is what you do not realize. Every time you react that way, you are proving one thing. You do not have control over yourself. And a man who cannot control himself will never be respected. You see these tests as problems, but to women, they are a way to evaluate you without asking directly. Women do not trust what you say. They trust how you respond under pressure. The test that makes you lose confidence is not meant to put you down. It is her way of checking. Does this man believe in himself, or does he need someone else to validate him? If you explain, you have already answered for her. I need your approval. The emotional chaos test is not because she is unstable. It is her way of creating space to see whether you lose direction without clarity. If you panic, if you keep asking questions, you are saying, I am not okay when I am not in control of the situation. The guilt test is not meant to make you apologize. It is her way of seeing whether you have boundaries. If you take the blame when you are not wrong, you are saying, I am willing to trade my values just to keep you. And that is when you lose respect. The confusion test is not because she is inconsistent. It is her way of checking, is this man stable? Or will he shift with my emotions? If you chase, you are proving you depend on her emotional state. Here's what you need to see. Women are not looking for a perfect man. They are looking for a man who is more stable than they are. Someone who does not get pulled around, does not get shaken, does not need validation. And these 4 tests are simply the fastest way for them to know which category you belong to. You only need to understand one principle. If you truly get it, you will pass every test without having to remember each situation. Women do not test you to find answers. They test you to measure your state. It is not about what you say. It is about how much you are affected. When she doubts you, the principle is not give the right answer. The principle is, can you hold your certainty or not? When she becomes cold, the principle is not make her happy again. The principle is, can you stay calm or do you get pulled in? When she makes you feel guilty, the principle is not fix her emotions. The principle is, can you maintain your boundaries or do you lower yourself? And when she keeps changing, the principle is not understand her. The principle is, can you stay grounded or do you waver? You can forget all 4 tests. But if you remember this, you will never get it wrong. The one who holds his state is the one who holds his position. You do not need to win the argument. You do not need to make her happy. You just need to not lose yourself. And here is the most important part. Attraction does not come from actions. It comes from stability under pressure. The harder a man is to influence, the harder he is to shake, the more valuable he becomes. And that is why some men do nothing special, yet still attract women. It is not because they are better. It is because they are not easily changed. Look at two men in the same situation. She asks, "You actually make money doing that job?" The first man, "Yeah, it is okay. I make money. I mean, not a lot, but it is enough." He starts explaining. The more he talks, the more his confidence drops. She nods. But in her mind, she already has the answer. This guy is not sure about himself. The second man, she asks the same question again. He gives a slight smile. "Yeah, enough so I do not have to ask anyone for permission." No explaining, no defending, just one sentence, but a completely different state. Now the second test. She suddenly becomes cold. Short replies, no emotion. The first man, "What is wrong with you? Did I do something wrong? Just tell me." He starts to worry. She does not respond. He loses control even more. In her eyes, this guy depends on my emotions. The second man, he notices the shift. "I can tell you are a bit quiet. Something might be going on." He stops there. No pressure, no pushing. Then he goes back to what he was doing. She has two choices. Either she opens up or she adjusts herself. But either way, he is still steady. The third test. She becomes cold because you replied late. The first man, "I am sorry, I was busy. It will not happen again." He takes the blame, even when he did nothing wrong. She says nothing, but in her mind, "I can control this guy." The second man, "I was busy, so I replied late." That is it. No unnecessary apology, no long explanation. If she feels upset, that is her emotion, not his responsibility. Finally, the confusion test. Today, she is very warm and engaged. Tomorrow, cold like a stranger. The first man, "Why are you different? Is something wrong? You are not like before." He starts analyzing. The more he thinks, the more confused he gets. The second man, he does not ask. She changes. He does not. Today, she is cold. He stays the same. No trying to pull her back. No trying to figure her out. And that alone makes her start coming back. That is the difference. Not in the words, but in the state. The first man always reacting. The second man always grounded. And in the eyes of women, there is only one man worth choosing. If you look at the whole picture, you will see this. You do not lose because you say the wrong thing. You lose because you react the wrong way. So the solution is not to learn more lines to say. It is to stop reacting to her emotions. First, stop explaining yourself just to gain validation. You do not need to prove your value. If you have to prove it, you have already lost it. Next, stop chasing her emotions. If she is cold, that does not mean you have to do something. If she is silent, that does not mean you have to fill the space. You are not responsible for fixing someone else's state. And here is the most important part. Set internal boundaries. You need to be clear about one thing: when you are wrong and when you are not. If you are wrong, you own it. If you are not wrong, you do not bow down just to keep the peace. Respect comes from boundaries. Finally, stop trying to understand everything. You do not need to analyze every behavior. You do not need to figure her out. You only need to hold on to one thing. Your state does not change because of her. She goes up and down. You stay steady. She changes. You stay consistent. And when you can do that, every test becomes meaningless. Because at that point, you are no longer the one being tested. You are the one who cannot be shaken. You are not losing because you are not good enough. You are losing because you let someone else's emotions control you. Every time you explain, every time you apologize, every time you try to please, you are lowering your own position. Women do not choose the man who is always right. They choose the man who is not easily changed. You do not need to control her. You need to control yourself. And when you can do that, every test loses its meaning because you are no longer the one being tested. You are the one who cannot be shaken. If this video helped you see the problem, hit like and share it with those who are still stuck. And subscribe if you want to understand how to hold your position in any situation. Because in the end, the one who holds his state is the one who gets chosen.